Broom. Skirt. We are skidding into another episode of MB2 Underground. I'm Sarah Kiefer.
And I'm Joe Fox. What was that about?
Well, the guest that we're interviewing today, I think, races cars. So I was trying to come up with something that was like...
It's awesome.
Broom. Skirt.
Yeah.
Did you ever play that game?
No, I don't know this game.
Oh, it was a drinking game. So we don't have to talk about it here. How's it going?
Well, good. It's going great. It's going great. We've got another awesome entrepreneur clinician to speak with, doing some really cool stuff. Racing cars will be the very first question. So
Good.
I'm excited to hear about that.
I really teed that up for you.
But the other cool thing is this guy looks just like Paul Newman.
Who's Paul Newman?
Yeah, come on, the salad dressings and the salsas. Newman's own. I'm just kidding. He's a famous actor.
I'm sure.
Google
I just need to see
friend.
it. Okay. Yes,
Paul
sir.
Newman, famous actor. This guy looks just like Paul
It
Newman.
looks just like him.
Look at that picture.
Look at that
I mean,
mug.
literally, that's classic.
Is he wearing a spacesuit in that?
No, that's a racing. They were going to ask you about that.
Okay, sorry.
So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the owner of Toombs Orthodontics in Prairie Village, Kansas, coming from the great state of Kansas, Sunflower State.
Correct.
Dr. Kelly Toombs. Welcome, sir.
Thanks you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for joining.
Early.
Happy to be here.
So that isn't a spacesuit in that photo.
It is not a spacesuit.
What is it?
It's my racing suit.
Okay, tell us about racing.
Well, first of all, I hope my car never sounds like that.
Yeah, right?
Is that not what you want? Skirt. Broom, broom. Skirt, skirt.
That is a V2.
Yeah,
I love it.
for sure.
But this is a unique hobby, man. Tell us about this.
It is a unique hobby. I've always been a car guy. I mean, from the time I was probably 5.
Yeah.
And I bought my first car when I was 15. It was
Wow. What was it?
64 MGB.
Wow.
Wow.
That I bought knowing it needed some work, and I bought a repair manual and took the engine out and rebuilt it, and it actually ran again.
At 15?
Yeah.
There was no YouTube videos.
I was
back
just
then.
about to say
what,
that.
What year was this? Give us a kind of help us.
Oh gosh, 15,
Date yourself.
So that was 1969.
Nice.
Oh, there's
Great-
definitely
great
not
year.
YouTubes around.
Wow.
No.
So you're just getting in there figuring it
cool.
out.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously now you know how old I am, which is really old.
Honestly, I'm not that good at math.
Okay, perfect.
You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So
So
just
so I've always been kind of mechanically inclined, and that was the start. And there was a sports car race. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. Sports car race outside of Wichita every year, and I used to go to that race and thought, gosh, it'd be cool to do this someday. And eventually, as an adult, I kept in sports cars a bit, and I had a 1981 Porsche 911.
wow.
Sick.
And I started doing some Porsche Club events. And those are basically time trials. You're not racing wheel to wheel. You're on the track, but they're timed events.
So this is like an oval track.
No. So it's all Grand Prix style racing. road
Okay,
racing.
so this is a big difference. Can you maybe explain that a little bit? Because like we're coming from the great state of Texas, and we got our hardcore NASCAR.
Well, speak for
so-
yourself. I sat
Oh,
in
my
on the
bad.
Dutch Grand Prix.
Oh my gosh, boom! Look
There
at
you
that.
go. Well,
But they're very different.
they are very
culturally
different.
very
So-
different. Yeah.
almost all NASCAR races are on ovals. So there are 4 turns.
Yep.
And NASCAR does a few road races as well, but road racing is the same as Grand Prix racing, like Formula One
Wow.
type of racing.
Big in Europe.
Slightly lower budget than Formula One,
Interesting.
but
No ovals.
for the most part, no.
Okay.
This is nuance.
there was a pro series for our cars a number of years ago, and we did a couple of ovals.
Wow.
But it is essentially road racing.
I think it's cool. NASCAR is big around here, and it was never a thing that I was really involved in growing up. But when I was in Amsterdam, we ended up in this little town randomly, and the Dutch Grand Prix was there. And we went and saw it was like the day before where they're like getting their time or something. And I did not expect it to be so loud and so infectious. Like the energy was incredible. It was really cool. I get why people get into it. And then it had been about 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, they're just going in circles. Like, we're good. But
I've seen it. I'm done.
it was cool. Yeah.
It's
Let's go back
not a
to the
very
beach.
good spectator sport.
Yeah, interesting.
It really is not. You just can't see the entire track. You see a little bit of it wherever you are, but it's once you get the bug, the car bug
Boom.
and the racing bug, it's tough to get out of it.
So you got this Porsche. You're starting to race
So-
locally.
Correct. Started doing some time trial events through the Porsche Club.
You're saying
And
time trial. I don't know why I thought you were saying time travel. I was
mean,
like,
you know,
he's
same,
doing these
same.
time traveling events.
that's why I have the spacesuit.
That's what it is.
And then a friend of mine bought a race car and started racing. And I went to some races with him and helped him and crewed for him. And I finally decided, gosh, I wanted to do this all my life. If I don't buy a race car, I'll never do it. So I bought a race car and started, and that was 30 years ago.
Unreal.
What's
How
your
cool.
favorite race you've done?
Oh, gosh, I raced once in the 24 Hours at Daytona.
What is that? Joe
That's-
looks very impressed.
That's a 24-hour race.
Oh, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like Cannonball Run kind of stuff, man.
Well, except it's on a track.
Yeah,
I mean, Cannonball Run goes across the country.
Obviously.
But yeah, and it's the big factory teams, the Porsche teams, et cetera, are at that race. It's and it was an incredible experience. The most frightened I've ever been in a car.
Oh my gosh, I
at
bet.
190 miles an hour,
Oh
getting
my
passed by the prototype cars that are going 220 at night.
Unreal.
Have you crashed?
I have crashed.
I'm so
Wow.
sorry.
So was I.
Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about going that fast.
And could you walk us through the crash or crashes? Like, is that a function? I mean, for folks that don't really understand racing,
Like us.
there's a multitude of issues that can create
Sure.
a crash, right?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can have a mechanical problem.
Wow.
Suspension can break, and you're going to go off the track, and you may or may not crash. Some tracks have a lot of runoff, so if you go off the track, you may not hit anything. If
That's
somebody
smart.
hits you, you're going to have some damage.
Yeah, that sucks.
Probably my worst crash was in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it was a pro race, and it was on a temporary street circuit. So those courses are lined with concrete walls,
And that's what they just did in Vegas not too long ago, right? With the
just coming up.
it's coming up, yeah.
Last year they did it, but it's the F1 race in Vegas. is a
Wow.
temporary
So they
street circuit.
literally create a track in the midst of a city.
So there's no runoff like you were saying. It's literally just
The
here for a
runoff is a
second.
concrete wall.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
last lap of that race, just got a little wide, and the nose of the car caught one of the tire barriers, which whipped me around 180 degrees into the concrete, bounced back out into the track, and then got hit T-boned by another car coming through that corner. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. That's terrifying.
Didn't you?
Two corners from the end of the race, literally.
So close.
Yeah, just pushing a little too hard.
Wow. And you wanted to get back in and keep on going.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. It's
Said mama they ain't raised no quitter.
exactly.
Racers, the racer mentality is just incredible. It's special.
Do you feel like the tinkering interest that you had, like the mechanical inclination you had when you were young, led you to wanting to do something like dentistry, like getting in there with your hands, solving a problem? Or was it in the family, or how did it come about for you?
Yeah. No, I think it definitely did. When I was a sophomore in college, my dad said, "What are you going to major in?" And I said, "I don't know, probably business or accounting." I was kind of a math guy. And my brother had a business degree, and he said, "Really?" He said, I don't see you sitting behind a desk crunching numbers. Why don't you go to medical school or dental school?" I said, "I don't know. I never thought of it. Nobody in our family had ever done anything like
Right.
that." And my parents had a friend who was a physician and one who was a dentist, so I went and shadowed him.
Oh, that's cool.
And I really loved the technical, hands-on aspect of dentistry, and I just thought, all right, what the heck?
Was it a general
Cool.
dentist that you shadowed?
Was a general dentist.
Okay.
And then in the process of applying to dental school in Kansas City, my parents had a friend whose husband was an orthodontist, and I eventually met him and saw orthodontics. I didn't have braces growing up, so I didn't have any exposure to orthodontics, but I saw what he did, and I thought, all right, this is cool. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. What was it about ortho that grabbed you?
You know, it's pretty unique in dentistry, in my opinion. It's such a positive environment.
Yeah.
In almost any other aspect of dentistry, people are there because something's broken, and
That's a
not
good
necessarily
point.
getting your teeth cleaned, but otherwise,
Yeah.
And in orthodontics, it's certainly back then was predominantly kids. There are a lot more adults in orthodontics now. But it was just this very upbeat, positive, high-energy environment. Probably my favorite analogy of orthodontics compared to another aspect of dentistry came from my best friend, who was a year behind me in dental school, Steve Hubert. And Steve was going to be a periodontist, or wanted to be. And I said, "Gosh, Steve, I think you really should reconsider this." I was in my residency, and I said, "I think this ortho thing is going to be a really good gig." And told him why, and He agreed, so he applied to some ortho programs and got an interview at the University of Oklahoma. And he had finished his interview with Dr. Nanda, the chairman of the program at the time, and they were just chatting. The interview had gone well, and he said, well, Dr. Nanda, I'm still kind of thinking about perio. And Dr. Nanda sets his pen down on the table and said, Steve, why would you want to work on broken down Chevys every day when you can work on Ferraris?
Oh
Look
my
at that.
God.
I love it. That's super
And that's
cool.
what ortho is to me. I get to see those kids every day and be in that environment and just touch their lives.
Absolutely.
No, that's true. People want to be there. They get the gratification of leaving and being able to see the difference versus in any sort of, general dentistry. It's almost like I'm in pain. This hurts. Okay, you fix the problem, but you can't really tell a difference.
It's not as tangible. Man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can, and gosh, general dentistry is so amazing, and the technology's come so far, and general dentists do things that are mind-bogglingly cool.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it, but I have such great respect for all the general dentists, but this really, I was drawn to orthodontics. And
Oh, cool.
I love working with kids, and it's been great. I've been blessed.
That's awesome. So tell us how you started your business.
So I actually went in with another orthodontist after I finished my residency, and he was going to work for 2 years, and then I bought the practice, and he was going to retire at that point. And we had such a great relationship. He was the nicest man you ever met, that he ended up staying for 6 years.
Wow.
And so it was really remarkable. He's a great mentor and the nicest guy. So I was on my own then for many, many years and knew that eventually I'd want to bring an associate in, but I had set the bar so high with Dr. Moore.
Yeah.
And finally started the process of looking for an associate. And I brought a guy in a year ago, and I really hit a home run with him as well. It's been
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, like attracts like. That's
Really
fantastic.
lucky.
Awesome. So you've been around the block a little bit. How has dentistry changed in your career?
Gosh, I'm not sure I can quantify that or verbalize that. It's changed so dramatically.
Yeah.
Orthodontics has changed the technology in orthodontics. Certainly, the advent of clear aligners has changed the face of orthodontics in dentistry a great deal. The materials in general dentistry have changed so much. It's really, and I think it's advancing at a faster and faster rate.
Yeah. What does that look like in the future, do you think? I mean, what does ortho look like in 10 years?
That's an interesting question. Certainly, if you talk to the people at Align Technologies with Invisalign,
And we
Should
did
we?
yesterday.
they will tell you that clear aligners are the future of
Interesting.
orthodontics. And for me, that's probably true. I really embraced that technology a number of years ago and made the commitment to learn it inside and out. And so we're about 75 to 80% share of chair with Invisalign
Wow.
in our practice.
And what was the impetus for you to make that conversion? Because
That's
I mean, that was,
substantial.
you had to take a step back to take a few steps forward.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I think it intrigued me, and I liked the challenge of learning something new. I liked the technology. I'm kind of a technology geek.
Yeah.
I'd been doing orthodontics for a long time. I've been in practice 40 years as of this summer. Obviously, I started practicing when I was 12. But
I started practicing before I was even born. It's weird how that works.
it's amazing. So I think that was the more I did it, the more I liked it.
Yeah.
And I think I just kept growing that side of my practice.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, the technology is absolutely incredible. It's changed my personal dental experience, just the scanners and what you're able to, allow the patient to understand and see. It's incredible.
I want to go back to practicing for 40 years. When you were 12 is when you started.
Right.
I know you mentioned feeling like you're still young. Is that because of the car racing that keeps you excited and going and youthful?
I think certainly that contributes to it. I
Yeah.
think more than anything, it's just a state of mind. It's a choice.
Yeah.
Staying physically fit,
Yep.
being active.
What's your preferred way of staying active?
In what aspect?
We were talking about physically fit.
Oh, physically. I typically get up 4 or 5 mornings a week and lift weights.
Okay.
And then a year ago, I I did a program called 75 Hard.
I've heard of
Haven't
it.
heard of it.
Yeah, so
You
it's
haven't? No.
it's 75 days long.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like that 24 Hours of Daytona thing. That's
Right,
The number comes into play.
Yep, it's important.
Yeah. So it's 75 days long, and you do 2 workouts a day of at least 45 minutes each.
Wow.
One of which has to be outside,
Yeah.
regardless
Well,
of
that's
the weather.
interesting.
Yeah.
Joe, have you been living under a rock?
Yeah, I've never heard of this. So like a hike or a bike or a...
Literally
you choose it.
anything.
It has
Whatever.
to be exercise of some sort. You have to be on a clean diet. You choose your diet.
Yeah,
What
it's
does
just
clean
like
diet mean? Sorry.
any diet. So if I wanted to do vegan or low carb, it's just sticking to something for 75 days. That's intentional eating.
No alcohol, no cheat days. You have to read at least 10 pages of something nonfiction every day, something
Wow.
educational. Yeah, the guy that designed it is in St. Louis, and he said many people look at this as a fitness program, but he said we consider it an Ironman for the mind and the body.
How
So
cool.
developing discipline and
Yeah, that's a
self-esteem.
lot of discipline.
It is. So in doing that, my outdoor workout typically was rucking.
Excuse me?
Yes. It's with an R.
Okay, so was this hiking with a really heavy backpack?
Right. You put a
Oh.
backpack on.
Have I been living
Like
under a
like
rock?
Jake Berry military style. Yeah.
Right. So
Are there just weights in the backpack?
I carry 50 pounds in my ruck, and I do that
That's pretty
in the evening. So
rucking. All right, so that's your outdoor workout. That's
Right.
pretty darn impressive. But what's the philosophy on the 75 days? Like, why 75 days?
So Andy Frisella is the man who designed this, and he said, people say that if you do something for 30 days consecutively, it'll become a habit. He says that's not true.
Really?
It takes more than that.
A little bit
I can
longer.
attest
like
to that.
double that. Yeah, double plus
so
that.
he said
yeah.
that's why it's 75 days. And it was interesting as he was saying, this is going to change your mind, and it's going to help you develop self-esteem and feel better about yourself, et cetera. And I was kind of like, yeah, I've got all that. I just want the workout side. I want the physical
How cool.
challenge. But he was right. It really did change my mindset, and I do work. I'm finished the 75, and I'm not doing it now, but I still work out more, and it was a
awesome.
good program.
Yeah,
it
that-
was a cool challenge.
It's awesome. I'm surprised I've never heard of it. But that getting outside
Me too.
component is that's pretty special, especially in modern times when that's so hard. You're in the office all day, right?
Well, and I was going to say in Kansas, doesn't it get like cold and snowy?
Only in the winter.
Oh, so it wasn't in the winter. Because like, what if you decide to do
you
it?
can ruck in the winter.
No, but that's the deal. He said
It's good for
the
you.
outdoor party said, I want you
Rain
to,
or
at
shine.
some point, be uncomfortable and put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. So yeah, rain or shine, you've got to be outside doing it. So I did not do it in the winter.
Okay, yeah, smart. I wouldn't either.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your nonprofit, Smiles
Smiles
Change
Change
Lives.
Lives.
Yeah.
So 27 years ago, one of my patients' dad came to me and said, you're familiar with my mom's fund. His mom's name was Virginia Brown. She had a fund through the University of Kansas Medical Center in Kansas City, and to provide financial assistance with children with facial deformities. And my partner, Dr. Moore, when I started in practice, had a cleft lip and cleft palate, and he started the first cleft palate clinic in Kansas City.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
So we saw a lot of kids with cleft lip, cleft palate, facial deformities. So I had worked through this with patients through this fund, and I said, I didn't realize that was your mom. He said, well, it is, and we would like to do something in orthodontics specifically. And she had braces as a young adult, probably in the 40s, which was unheard of then.
Yeah.
Wait,
And it was
not in her 40s, but in the 1940s.
in the 1940s.
Wow.
Yeah, she
Think about how far orthos
was a
come since
child
then.
of the Depression, and her parents couldn't afford it then. And so she said it changed her life. So he said, how could we do this? And we just started brainstorming on how we could do it. And really, our goal was just to do something in Kansas City. And Tom Brown said, this is not something we want to do like welfare. We want to help working families that just can't afford to do this. And he said, families that go to school with your kids and my kids. And so his catchphrase, we want to give people a hand up, not a handout.
I like that.
So I recruited some orthodontists in Kansas City, and we all agreed to do this on 3 kids each for that year, and that was 30 kids, and it grew, and then other orthodontists in other cities heard about it, wanted to know how they could get started, and we started
That's
a program
amazing.
in Florida, and it has grown so far beyond our wildest dreams. We're now nationwide. We're the largest orthodontic access to care program in the world.
How cool.
Well, and it's cool. It sounds like it kind of grew organically, like people just hearing the good word and wanting to be a part of it.
It did, and we had to change our model dramatically over the years to make it work anywhere in any city at any time. But it's become very easy for patients to get into the program, and particularly for orthodontists to sign up for the program. Our challenge is, it's really interesting. We have cities where we have orthodontists who said, please send me patients, and we can't get patients in some of these cities.
Really?
It's mind-boggling.
And is that like an outreach issue or a marketing?
We've tried, yes, I think it's both, and we've tried to overcome this. We've done advertising, had events with media in some of these cities, and it's really strange. Other cities, we have waiting lists for patients.
Wow.
We can't get enough kids treated, but we really have struggled since the pandemic. That was a really negative turning point for us. And when we started the program, I said, I think it's really important that the families pay something, that they have some skin in the game. And so back then it was $200.
Wow.
It's now $650, and that still can be a lot of money for some families.
Yeah,
but it's
sure.
really important to.
But in comparison to like what, $5,000? Yeah.
No, they'll figure out a way to do it. So as we've grown, we had to actually hire employees. We have a staff that runs the organization, and pre-pandemic, we were almost to the point of being 100% self-sufficient. We've still got some grants, et cetera, but the income from the patients, we were almost to 1,000 patients a year at that time.
That's incredible.
Well, the pandemic hit and offices closed, and our income went to zero. We only get that money when a patient starts treatment. And we got some loans through the government, et cetera. But then people reopened their offices, but it was just such a bleak time, and people were trying to get their own offices up and running, and they weren't taking patients. And though it's improved, we just have not climbed back to where we were pre-pandemic. So it's been a struggle financially for the organization, but we're going to keep working.
We're getting there.
Make sure it survives.
Keep rocking. What does an orthodontist who is interested need to do, or what can they do if they want to learn more?
It's very, very simple. They simply go to our website, smileschangelives.org, and there's an application online that they fill out and agree to the terms, which are very simple.
Yeah.
And then they can screen patients. So if they have a patient that comes into their office and says, well, we can't afford this, they can have the patient apply. And they're very strict financial requirements for the patients. They have to submit tax returns. They're really very thoroughly vetted to make sure they have the financial need. And then they're screened by an orthodontist. And if they're deemed to have sufficient orthodontic need, the orthodontist can accept them into their practice. If an orthodontist sees someone or somebody else screened them and they got sent to them as a patient, if they just don't feel like it's a good fit, they can say no.
Yeah.
The organization keeps track of the patients and asks the orthodontist to fill out a quarterly report on how the patient's doing as far as keeping their appointments, oral hygiene, et cetera. And if the patients are not doing what they're supposed to do and holding up their end of the bargain, they can be removed from the program. I've never had it happen, and it's exceedingly rare, but in that scenario, if it were to occur, the organization does that, not the orthodontist, so the orthodontist doesn't have to be the bad guy. But most of these patients are so amazing, and they're so grateful.
I bet.
The letters I've received afterwards are, just bring tears to your eyes reading them. It's amazing that you truly have changed somebody's life.
Yeah.
And prior to starting this organization, I did a fair amount of pro bono work. Somebody would say, hey, we've got a friend in church, the dad's sick, lost a job, dad died, something like that. Could you help these families? And I've always done that, and I still do that outside our organization. But the difference is those kids had a connection to me somehow, indirectly. They knew somebody who knew somebody who knew me.
Yeah.
And the kids we see through Smiles Change Lives would never have that connection and never have access to this life-changing treatment.
I think that's so cool. That's one of the coolest things for me about doing this podcast is not only just getting to connect with a lot of our doctors, but like how much a lot of our partners are doing that like I knew nothing about. So I assume they don't really know about either. So thank you for kind of walking through that with us.
Yeah,
it's pretty remarkable.
Super special work, Dr. Toombs.
Pardon me. So I really want to get MB2 doctors more involved. I put a post on our app Cerebro a month or two ago, just explaining what we do and how we do it. And we had a couple of people respond and say, hey, that's really cool. Keep up the good work. But I was saying, listen, if you're an orthodontist and you read this, please join our organization.
Here's a link and such. Yeah.
And if you're a general dentist, ask the orthodontist you refer patients to if they participate, and if they don't, ask them why not, and encourage them to do so. And then also, if you have patients, please send them our way. And
yeah, absolutely. Sometimes folks just need a personal little nudge, so we can do that for you. We know a few orthodontists. Some are hanging around right now.
I just picture Joe like cornering somebody and being like, "Join the group."
Well, and I've got 5 kids who are gonna need some ortho treatment, so that'll be kind of a vetting prerequisite for my vetting process on that. So,
is there anything that we didn't touch on that you feel like you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so.
I think we did a good job, Joe. I think we hit it all.
Let me ask you one quick thing. Just in the context of seeing so much change in your career in the dental industry, what advice do you have for any young clinicians that are coming out of school?
Oh, gosh.
Don't go to Perio. No, I'm just kidding.
First and foremost.
That broke down Chevy.
No. I work with American Orthodontics, and twice a year they have an orthodontic residence summit. They bring second-year orthodontic residents in from all over the country, and they have speakers, and they always have me come up and speak, and I speak to the residents about Smiles Change Lives and the importance of giving back, because that is so rewarding. And I say with regularity that I get more out of our organization than the patients do, and I truly mean that. It's incredible. But I love spending time with these kids. They're not kids. They finished dental school in their residency, but to me, they're kids. Yeah. And talking to them, and I just tell them that you're in for such an incredible career. It is so amazing what we do, and that's true of most aspects of dentistry, but I think in particular orthodontics. And I tell them, first and foremost, be yourself. Be who you are. Don't try and be somebody that you're not.
Yeah.
Being genuine shows.
Oh, for sure.
It doesn't matter what your personality is or who you are, just honor that. And treat people well, be honest and caring, and treat people the way you want to be treated. And certainly you have to be a good clinician. You've got to produce a good result. But if you do those things, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
My voice just cracked. I was like, I love it, but nothing came out. I love it.
Jeff Salucci at dinner the other night said, so you don't do any marketing? And I said, no, I've never done any external marketing at all. It's all just...
That's incredible.
Word of mouth.
Doing a great job, no pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the goal of every clinician, right, is to have a great word of mouth patient base. And kudos, Dr. Toombs, kudos for all the awesome work you're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
It's been an amazing career, and it's so great right now. I'm so thrilled to be part of the MB2 family. That was a big decision for me.
Absolutely.
Certainly. But it was one that was fabulous.
Oh, good. It'd be really awkward if you felt otherwise.
We're super happy to have you. And I'm going to talk to our brand marketing team, because maybe we can sponsor your car next time. Boom.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, because that's what...
Or we can go to a race.
Yes. Boom, skirt.
Boom, skirt.
Boom, skirt.
Right. Dr. Toombs, we really appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Listeners, thank you for joining us for another great episode of the MB2 Underground podcast. We will catch you next time.
Keep rocking.